Very good evening, folks. It is Thursday. It's Thursday night, which means it's Radical Race Series night as the series returns for its ninth round out of 12 for season 2 for 2025. Welcome along as we are at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And you join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and James Parfitt as what is going to be a really interesting two races around this 4.31 kilometre, 2.7 mile, 14 turn circuit. First opened back in October of 1978. And the current layout of the circuit has been in use for over 2 decades. We've still got 3 more rounds to go to conclude this second season of this particular championship. As next week on May 22nd, we head to VIR in the United States, Mount Panorama, and then Interlagos to round off the season. Well, JP, it's just going to be a case of who's going to be top dog, because last time out at Alton Park, race 1, Paul LeMay, race 2, Simon Edwards were the winners.
Yeah, I think this season is going to come down to them two. I think that's the thing at the moment. They've been backwards and forwards all season, so I'm interested to see how this one goes. I've got to be honest, I'm not a lover of Montreal. I'm not.
It is a bit like Vegemite over in Australia, isn't it? You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I'm not keen on it, but look, I'm sure it will deliver great race, and it generally does, no matter what cars you put around here as well. GT3s can be a bit janky and anything bigger than that as well, but I think with these little Radical SR10s, I think we should be in for a good one. I'm looking forward to this. Going to see how close it is between LeMay and Edwards. Of course, we've got 2 races tonight, 10 laps and 17, top 10 full reverse, or top 10 reverse, I should say. So there's going to be a couple of drivers who aren't going to gain any advantages, but we'll find out. It's going to be interesting. There's times that will start coming through shortly, I'm sure.
Yes, indeed, and we have the traditional 3 sectors on this racetrack, which, considering how many sectors we do have on some of the iRacing tracks, it was just before we went live, I just went, hooray, 3 sectors, and you went, oh, thank God, unlike Alton Park, which had like 7.
Yeah, I know, and that's the strangest things for me, because Alton Park is shorter than this one, and yet I think they put like 7 sectors at Alton Park, and one of them is literally like before you even get to Cascade. It's just ridiculous, to be blatantly honest. Simon Edwards, however, has got a green and a purple on the purple and green. Sorry, I get it around the right way on the board as he's coming around the hairpin now before he goes on for the run up into the Wall of Champions. Hopefully, not ending up in the Wall of Champions.
Yeah, that could very much be the case, depending on how fast you want to go through that chicane at turns 14 and 15. Turns 13 and 14. 150 miles an hour going into the braking zone. Third gear, 70 miles an hour. Mr. Edwards very close to the wall. Comes out across the line and sets a... Wait for it. 131.922. Paul LeMay went purple in both sectors. Went 10th and a half quicker. 131.757.
Yeah, there's a couple of others. Gonzaga's come over the line. Crowley's come over the line. Jarvis has come over the line. Marcus Neal is back here again. Seth Brown's just gone. He's back racing once again. Even Jimmy Bird is out on the racetrack. Our very own Phil Glover, as always, is back once again. And he's there as well.
Yeah, Mr. Positivity. Simon Edwards has just gone purple again in sector number 1. So we have seen the battle between Simon Edwards and Paul LeMay really heat up over the previous 7 race nights, but Louis right on board with Simon Edwards. He's making his way down to turn 10, or Lipang, to basically Quebecois for the hairpin, down from 145 miles an hour, down the gearbox, into first gear, 35 miles an hour on the apex. Now put the pedal to the metal up to third gear, up to fourth, 115, 120, 130, fifth gear now, 140 miles an hour. Could be seeing speeds maybe approaching 160 if people get in the slipstream, and it's purple sector musical chairs. Edwards sector 1, fastest overall. LeMay fastest overall sector 2. And here comes Simon Edwards. Can he go quicker than a 131.757? Let's just see. Does that happen?
Yes.
Yes, 1:31.455. And LeMay instantly goes, "Hello, Simon. Hold my shandy."
Yeah. Thank you very much. You can have it for a brief moment, but I'm going to come and take it away from you straight after. I told you, Paul LeMay's been on a flyer this season, and he's done amazing in this SR10. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out to see whether or not he can wrap this up. As long as I can remember, I don't think he's won a championship since we've been here.
No. Simon has been for a number of years with Radical Race Series, the Tour de Force, and Paul LeMay is going quicker still in the opening sector. Simon Edwards improves in the opening sector. He's now gone through turns 8 and 9 at the third of the 4 chicanes here at Montreal. Paul LeMay, purple sector 1, as a bit of a tough sector 2. But yeah, I mean, the thing is they're within like 20 thousandths of a second of each other in the opening sector all along. Simon Edwards goes over nearly 2/10 quicker than Paul LeMay in sector number 2. Now, how much can this compromise Paul LeMay? We're 60% of the way through this qualifying session. Edwards out of the final chicane, past the wall of champions, neatly skirts and flirts with it on the right-hand side of his car, across the start-finish line. What's the lap time going to be? It's a 1:31.401. Paul LeMay, he just went quicker, and he had two duff second sectors. Two duff sectors. He went flying in the opening sector, and he's still improved.
Yeah, he's got his car nailed, Paul LeMay. Absolutely got it nailed. He must love Montreal, but he has done an exceptional job. Simon Edwards goes quicker. LeMay turns around and says, "No, that's it. I'm going to have that back again." So Paul LeMay on for a flyer. I'm going to expect it to be between these two. Gonzaga's not a million miles away. Mind you, George isn't far off the pace at the moment. 31.70 for him. So it's a couple of hundreds back, judging by that. But I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see, where do we break the second mark? We break the second mark kind of just after Luke Crowley. So we're going to have 7 cars within a second of each other here. That's going to bring great close racing, but it'll be how they manage to control that racing, because we have sounds like there has been at times, should we say, when people get that close, Alex, that, well, let's just say fireworks.
Things happen. Top 3 covered by exactly 8/100ths of a second, as Gonzaga 162, 163, 164 before hitting the brakes. Paul LeMay goes quicker still, 1:31.194. That's 2/10 between him and Simon Edwards. George Gonzaga about to cross the stripe. Does he improve? I don't think he might do on this particular occasion. Luke Crowley, however, jumps up into P4. Yeah, Gonzaga, that was not an improvement. I think that was a disallowed lap time there, because it did not change on the live timing. We've still got just over a minute and a half to go. The drivers running, or the fastest drivers, especially if your name is Paul LeMay, a 1:31 high 1. Absolutely sterling job by the number 27 from Two Brothers Racing, as once again we ride on board with George Gonzaga. He's just come out of turn 7, heading in towards turn 8 and 9, the penultimate chicane. Hard on the brakes. Paul LeMay goes, whoa! He's just done a 27.94 in the second sector as Paul LeMay. He wasn't that far off of Simon Edwards on that first sector. He's the best part of about 2/10 down in the opening sector. Darren Reynolds has gone into the pits. Luke Crowley has gone into the pits. And Paul LeMay, let's see how late he brakes there. 163 indicated on the speedometer. Rides the curb on the entrance into the wall of Champion Chicane. He's going to keep it to the right-hand side, very much in the vein of Formula 1 drivers. Goes across the line. Is that going to be an improvement from 21.088? Paul LeMay has literally, it doesn't matter if it's a Duff first sector, Duff second sector, Duff third sector. Most of the laps he's put in, he's put 3/10 between himself and Simon Edwards, and Edwards has no answer.
Oh, he's just got nothing for him. Damien G and Phil Glover should get over the line here. He's going to go now. I'm surprised they're not staying on the left. I am surprised he's taken that trip to the right-hand side. Both of them get over the line before the end of quali. Glover does improve, but not enough to gain positions there as well. Yeah, I'm surprised they ain't coming out of Wall of Champions and just running straight down the right-hand side. That's what I would do.
Yeah, well, another successive pole position for Paul LeMay. And he beats Simon Edwards by over 3/10 in that session. That was impressive, to say the least. Edwards lines up on the outside of the front row. George Gonzaga and Luke Crowley, row 2. Adam Jarvis and Seth Brown round out row 3 with Jamie Bird, Marcus Neal, Darren Reynolds, and Damien G rounding out the top 10. Phil Glover and Graham Matthew got some work to do from the back row of the grid as we are set and ready, waiting for the drivers to ready up. Paul LeMay has jumped into his pole position slot there. But what are you expecting from this one, JP? I'm expecting flat out, full throttle, and give it the gung-ho and give it the berries.
Oh, yeah, and I think LeMay, Edwards, Gonzaga, Crowley will be the 4. I'd be interested to see if Crowley can hold his bottle a little bit. You know what I mean? He can be very sporadic at times, can Luke, and he probably has one of the only nights that you could call him. He has more ups and downs than the Blackpool Dipper. You know what I mean? It's just he's never quite sure what you're going to get out of him. So I'm interested to see how he gets on, and if he can stay there, and if he can be in and around them, I think he's in for a good shot here.
Right, grid ready's up. 10 laps for the sprint race. 5 lights are on. 5 lights are out. We're underway, and let's see who gets the good hole shot into turn 1. No surprise here, it's going to be Paul LeMay. George Gonzaga looking to stick his nose up the inside of Simon Edwards as they go through. Into the right-hander here at turn 2. Jamie Bird has dropped all the way down to 11th. As Damien G, Phil Glover, Graham Matthew, they all make up 2 spots apiece, but Paul LeMay early doors has already scarpered to nearly an 1/8 of a second advantage over Simon Edwards. George Gonzaga, Luke Crowley and Adam Jarvis round out your top 5. Graham Matthew, I think, has dropped it and has ended up at the back end of the field.
Yep.
But what a getaway from Paul LeMay. That's exactly what he knew he had to do.
Yeah, exactly. You've hit the nail on the head. He had to do it. That was the thing for LeMay. He had to try and escape, and he did escape. He got out down the road. He's left Edwards battling away with Gonzaga. He's left Crowley in there, Jarvis in there, and Seth Brown. Seth's been showing some improvement in pace as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on over this racetrack and see whether or not he's able to compete, should we say, with the guys in and around him. But look at what he's done here for Paul LeMay. He's just left Edwards with Gonzaga and said, right, George, get him.
Yeah, he's left him in his wake a little bit, so to speak, but the speeds now start to increase as we are at full throttle here at Montreal. So it's going to be about 155 miles an hour plus at 6th gear going into the braking zone for the chicane and the Wall of Champions. Simon Edwards was flirting with that sidewall like nobody's business right there. He was literally millimetres away from clobbering into it and still managed to keep the throttle pinned on that one.
Yeah, and Gonzaga got a really bad run out of the Wall of Champions as well. Edwards just went straight through. George was a little bit late on the brakes, couldn't quite get the rotation going in or the exit speed going out, but he needs to make sure he's carrying this. LeMay is wishing that he would fight this out here and give it a good old go in behind him. There's action further down. I want to pick up on this because Damien G and Jamie Bird had swapped positions. Bird cleared G, Glover cleared G as well. So unfortunately for Damien G, he's going backwards a little bit, but he ain't gone very far. He's still in the same position he was when he started, but he'd obviously gone forward and now come back to. So Damien G fighting out. Going to be interesting to see what Bird does with Glover this time around. Obviously we know Phil's the Padawan of from Simon Edwards, so Phil's been learning a lot from him, and to be honest, there's kind of no finer teacher Simon Edwards as Bird looks up the inside again. Glover needs to go on the defense here. Didn't really defend it. He's just given Bird the inside line, Alex, and I think that's one side of Phil's game even he will admit he needs to kind of work on.
Yeah, he's trying to keep it to the outside of the back straightaway down the casino straight here, heading into turns 13 and 14, but there is Damien G, who had a great battle with Phil Glover last time out at Alton Park. Glover's going to try and put it to the outside, slots in behind Jamie Bird, gets a slower run through the first part of the chicane, and Damien G looking to get the side draft. George Gonzaga in the meantime, fastest lap of the race after the opening 2 out of 10, 1:31.448. But now Edwards and Gonzaga are closing in on Paul LeMay. LeMay has got to do exactly what he did in race 1 at Alton Park. Control the race as he sees fit and not give Edwards or Gonzaga an opportunity.
Yeah, this is the thing. They've kind of come back together. It almost reminds me, oddly enough, and I'm going to say this, and you might sit there and think, what the blinking Nora you on about, is getting a good start on a fast oval like Dega or Daytona, and then they just pull you back in and back in and back in, and before you know it, you're back in with the pack, and that's exactly what's happened to LeMay. He got that fast start over the last couple of laps, and then as time's gone on, tyres have got warmer. Edwards and Gonzaga is bringing them in. Now the question will be, this man here, is he going to be able to stay with them, or is he going to end up dropping back himself, because he hasn't got a massive gap back to Adam Jarvis and Seth Brown, so he's got to be a little bit careful here, Crowley. He's got to make sure he can try and stay with these. If they're going to go too wide into the final chicane, he wants to make sure he's there picking up pieces if something happens.
Well, if anyone might remember what happened last time around at race 1 at Alton Park, Simon Edwards made an unusual, unforced error in his own right, and Gonzaga's going to the outside of him. Oh, there's contact between the pair. They both hit the right-hand side of the wall on the outside of turn 1, and that has given Luke Crowley the opportunity to get away. Paul LeMay has gone, thank you very much, I'll take that to the bank. And Edwards and Gonzaga, well, it was a bit like Massa versus Perez a few years ago, only it didn't come off so badly.
No, but they did crash on, well, I would say straight. Gonzaga's right alongside. Oh, man, I do not know where to place that one. Something was going one way.
I would like to see the onboard from Gonzaga, because Simon went, you can see that Simon's going over, and George is, that's where George turns left, but he's turning, you can see on the input here, he's trying to go with the curvature of this particular part of the track.
He is turning right, mind you.
Yeah, he's turning right, but then you see a couple of inputs of turning left, but that's a tough one to call on that.
Yeah, I'm not really quite sure where I would go on that, to be blatantly honest with you, Alex, because I think they were both at it. So Edwards is turning right as well. He's trying to... Gonzaga, I don't think, can go anywhere else. I'm not entirely sure where we could look and say, it's there, you did it. Because I don't think Gonzaga could go anywhere. And it's looking like Edwards has got damage now. He's dropping down the order. Gonzaga's going down. So both of them have struggled and suffered with something. Edwards is in pit lane. Is Gonzaga going to do the same thing here? He is. Yeah. And both men are in, so both men have got damage. But it does put the likes of Adam Jarvis sitting in podium spot at the moment with Seth Brown in behind him. So great job from him. That's a really difficult one, albeit both of them were turning with the camber of the corner. None of them were turning into each other. And that's the thing. They both ended up just velcroing together, and that was the end of it.
I think that's probably, I'd be more inclined to say that that's a racing incident. To be truthful, they were both going for the same amount of real estate, and it can just sometimes happen. And it'll be interesting, if we manage to get to speak to either of them from their perspective. But I see that as a pure and simple possible racing incident. I can't really appropriate blame to either one of them, because they were both trying to go right before turning left. So it's a 50-50. And that does not mean I'm sitting on the fence. I think it's a racing incident, and I don't want splinters in my bum either.
Yeah, I think you might be right. So, you know what I mean? I don't think you could really dictate who did what on that one. Connor Pink's in YouTube chat. He's just gone, oh no. So, Connor, you let us know which way round you reckon that should have gone and who was responsible for it. But to be honest, I can't really see anyone to blame on that. I think it was a racing incident. They came together.
Yeah.
Gonzaga had nowhere to go. He was about as far right as he possibly could. Edwards, you could say, might have to take a brunt of the blame, considering he had all the way to the left-hand side of the track to go. So, you know, hey, we'll leave that to them to discuss. But Jarvis and Seth Brown at the moment still fighting out here.
Yeah, split by about 0.4 of a second. So the number 3 versus the highlighter radical, as I like to call it now. it does look like the old highlighters that you used to have at school, didn't it? You got bright green and bright pink as well, but at least it gives the opportunity for Seth Brown to have some airtime. But he is doing a really good job of keeping Adam Jarvis very honest. He's 1.4 seconds behind Luke Crowley, who's trying to close that gap to Paul LeMay, but LeMay is about a tenth and a bit quicker over the course of the 3 sectors each lap. We're on lap 6 out of 10, so 4 to go after this one. And yeah, you see how close Seth Brown gets under braking. A little bit of a wobble from the tail end as Adam Jarvis applies the power coming out of the turn 10 hairpin. But this could be the opportunity that Seth Brown needs. He's going to keep it in the slipstream. Dentures Goldschmidt, and he's going to pull to the right hand side draft initiated, and he gets through before the braking zone. Good move there by Seth Brown.
Yeah, great move from him. He hasn't gone away though, mind you. Jarvis kind of gave him a little push on the way through and said, right, you've got past me, now you're going to have to get a little bit of a wriggle on here. Honestly, one was up against the wall, the other was trying to cut the nose off slightly, but hey ho, it happens. That's what Connor Pink says in YouTube chat.
Well put, Connor. Thank you very much.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it you know, they'll both have a chat about it. They'll both go, well, were you turning left? And no, they'll look at the live stream, because obviously that's why it's always good to see those onboards. Oh, holy moly! Adam Jarvis going wheel to wheel with Seth Brown. Now into turn number 6 they went. He's still round the outside of him. As he got the job done, he's ahead by a fraction. But it's going to be a right-hander they're coming up to next here at turn number 8. Brown's going to have the opportunity to lunge up the inside, but Jarvis keeps his momentum in front.
Yeah, Jarvis has got back through. I think these two are very similar on pace here in this car. And I don't think this is going to be a battle that's going to end here. Well, literally it's not ending. They're running side by side down into the hairpin. Through they go. And Seth Brown does not get past Jarvis. He's going to have to go again here is Brown. He's got to have to settle in and go once more with Seth Brown, Adam Jarvis, to see how he gets on. He's going to look at taking that line on the inside. It's a very tight entry into the Wall of Champions. Can he make this work, Alex? That's going to be the question here.
Yeah, and through goes Seth Brown. He went to the outside previous lap. He went to the inside this time, and it worked a little bit better. Seth Brown keeping to the right-hand side of the circuit, but that is allowing Adam Jarvis to pull alongside him on the run into the left-hander here at turn number 1. Jarvis is going to go deep on the brakes, use the curbing, gets through, retakes 3rd place. Great battle as we've got 3 laps to go, including this one. And this is like a bonfire. It keeps on burning away, and no one can put it out at the moment. But great racing respect and racing room given by both respective drivers.
Yeah, they're just going to... I think the thing is as well, you don't want to ruin this. And I say that in the fact that this is such great racing. Both of these men aren't going to do something stupid. But what both of these men are doing on lap 8 is there's a black car coming at them in the background there. And if these two carry on fighting, that gap between Jamie Bird and them is going to drop a heck of a lot and very quickly. So Bird now is on a bit of a mission to try and catch up with these two. And these two are just on a mission to have great racing and fight for that final podium spot. So, you know, towards the end, lap 9 and lap 10, this could get very interesting.
Yeah, nearly got very interesting there as well, going through here on lap number 8 out of 10 between Brown and Jarvis as they go down the casino straight once again. So after this, 2 laps to go as Paul LeMay is making his way through the final chicane and negotiating his way past the Wall of Champions. Brown again getting the closing speed, but on this particular occasion was not close enough to facilitate that move either to the inside or the outside, whichever his preference would have been at that particular time. But Paul LeMay leads us on to the penultimate lap of this race with a good lead over Luke Crowley of 3.8 seconds. 0.4 separates the two battling on your screens right now. Adam Jarvis in the number 3 versus the number 38 of Seth Brown. as they are making their way through towards the first of 4 chicanes here at turns 3 and 4. A little bit more aggressiveness, I think, from Jarvis, who's trying to scamper away from Brown, but Brown's going to have that slipstream to assist him going into turns 6 and 7. Brown right late on the brakes, right behind him, but again, it's just Jarvis has that back end a little bit more planted. But into the penultimate chicane here at turns 8 and 9. Brown's got to be a little bit more aggressive on this one and go very deep on the brakes into the hairpin. But no, he has a wobble, has a bit of a mistake. There's the 38, and that opens up the gap to 7/10.
Oh, I'm looking at that timing tower. I couldn't work out why that gap extended. And that is why. Jamie Bird straight in the wall. He's now lost the place to Marcus Neal. He's lost the place to Phil Glover. I think he is injured here. I think he's going to try and get round the outside, but I think he's carrying damage for Jamie Bird at the moment. Oh, between him and Phil. I think that was one of the problems there. I think Phil went in slow, lost a little bit of traction, went straight across the nose, and Jamie Bird hit the brakes, tried not to hit him. To be honest, he may have been better off, to be fair. But Seth Brown and Jarvis here as well. Final lap of the race. Paul LeMay out in front.
Yep. White flag lap here at Montreal for this round of the series. We've got the top 10 inverted reverse grid with a 17 lap feature, and Jamie Bird, no surprise, has pulled it into pit lane, but that is going to put him on the back row of the grid, the way that Graham Matthew is closing in on completing his 9th lap out of 10. He will cross the stripe as we speak. Brown has lost time to Jarvis, and Graham Matthew at this moment in time will be on the top 10 inverted reverse grid pole position for race number 2, but Jarvis having gotten the better of Seth Brown. And in some respects, you've got to give kudos for Seth and Adam for providing one hell of a show, but Paul LeMay, well, he's cantered away like he did at race 1 at Alton Park just last week. He's doing exactly the same here at Montreal. He's got a 4-second lead over Luke Crowley, and what's more, imagine what's going to happen in race 2 when we have Simon Edwards and Jamie Bird on the final row of the grid. But out of the final corner, past the wall of champions, Paul LeMay does it again in race 1 for another successive round. From lights out to checkered flag, he picks up the sprint race win ahead of Luke Crowley by 3.7 seconds. Adam Jarvis and Seth Brown round out your top 4. Marcus Neal will finish 5th, but Damien G and Phil Glover going into the final chicane here on the last lap. Damien G, if he gets the side draft here, it could be a run to the line. It's going to be close, but it is going to be Phil Glover that gets it by a car length.
Oh, man. The interesting thing about this as well, there's some tracks, this is where the track design needs a revamp, I think, Alex. This is my only issue. Some tracks have the finishing line there, right? Don't they? The Spa is literally coming out the bus stop. Montreal is not down at the finishing line. It's about 20 meters back from the finishing line. So when they raced down and LeMay was weaving, I'm sitting here thinking, you ain't across the line here, mate. You need to get a little bit of a wriggle on, because watch when Edwards goes over the line. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. It's about there. And it's like, okay, you got to keep going here. And every track is different, don't they? Some of them are like Spa have it right after the bus stop, and a few others do as well, but yeah, there we go.
So here's the results for race 1 here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. Paul LeMay, another sprint race in the bag for the two brothers racing number 27, winning after 10 laps by an advantage of 3.7 seconds ahead of Luke Crowley. Adam Jarvis beats Seth Brown to the final step on the rostrum, finishing just over 1.4 seconds ahead of the number 38. Marcus Neal, Phil Glover, Damien G, Darren Reynolds, George Gonzaga, Graham Matthews, Simon Edwards and Jamie Bird round out the finishing order. Bird finishing a lap off of the leaders. But, well, that's race 1 in the books. We've still got a 17-lap race on the cards, and it is going to be Graham Matthew that is going to start from pole position. And what we have sometimes found, like we did at Alton Park last time out, JP, that if you are on pole position, Damien G got swallowed up by the chasing pack.
very, very quickly. That's the scary thing. It was very, very quickly as well. Sorry, Nick, I didn't see you there. Welcome in, buddy. Impressive race car off on display. That was why I was watching Jarvis and Seth Brown. It was, mate. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Thanks so much for joining us. I think this is the problem. And I don't know if Graham will sit there and think, okay, I'm on pole. I need to go for this, you know, and just give it everything you've got, literally everything. Don't leave nothing on the racetrack. That's the last thing you want to do, is come off the race circuit and be like, man, I left a few temps on here, or I left a few temps on there. Giving it all. It's going to be daunting for Graham Matthew. Don't get me wrong. He's not used to being up that high. You know, he's still learning the car. He's still going along season by season, doing his thing. Yeah. So for him, this is going to be a whole sort of different kettle of fish here. But he's just got to give it his all.
Yeah, that's very true. As the checkered flag for the 2-minute warm-up. Not much of a warm-up to speak of. But we are going to be getting ready right now for our second race of the night. From 10, we go to 17 laps. So here is your starting order. Graham Matthew will be starting from the top 10 reverse pole position based on the results of race 1. George Gonzaga for the Instant Name E-Racing team will be alongside him on the front row. And it's Darren Reynolds and Damien G starting on row 2. Phil Glover and Marcus Neal round out row 3 ahead of Seth Brown and Adam Jarvis, with Luke Crowley and Paul LeMay rounding out the top 10, with Simon Edwards and Jamie Bird rounding out the back row of the grid. We're just waiting for Adam Jarvis to grid up, and there he is. So, 17 laps of Montreal beckon for these 12 drivers as the 5 red lights start to ignite. The 5 lights are on. 5 lights are out. We're underway. We're go and green for ready for racing. And Gonzaga straight on the offensive. Charges through on Graham Matthews.
The wall.
Inside line. Nearly could have been a real disaster for the pair. Damien G up to P4. Well, Phil Glover was 4th for a previous moment, but Adam Jarvis has got through and is now on the offensive up the inside into turn 3 on Damien G. He's going to go round the outside, out of the exit of the chicane. Great move by Adam Jarvis.
Yeah, great move from him. Paul LeMay was in the wall. Paul LeMay is in the wall. He got nailed right at the beginning. He didn't even make it down into turn 1. He absolutely got nailed in the wall. And we'll have a look back at that in a minute. Let's just this play out past the end of lap 1 here. But he got done, dude. Literally, his car was spinning round, bits were coming off it all over the place. So if he's managed to get it back to the pits, I'd be well impressed here with Paul LeMay. But at the moment, Luke Crowley, Simon Edwards fighting it out here. There is LeMay. He's still got, no, he hasn't. He's got no rear wing on that machine. I'm surprised he's even got the front. The force he hit that wall with, I'm surprised he's got any part of that car left. But we will have a look at that back in a minute. Let's get it past lap 1 first.
Seth Brown in the slipstream and Damien G coming down the casino straight on the rundown to the final chicane at turns 13 and 14. Brown is going to get ahead. There is Crowley waiting in the wings. There is Edwards waiting in the wings as Jamie Bird gets round
Matthews
the
hit the wall.
outside of full cover. Graham Matthews got a slow down penalty, I would say, judging by how slow he was. Gonzaga by the opening lap has got a 2.5 second advantage. Crowley up the inside of G and gets through. So does Edwards. Jamie Bird doing a great job. Paul LeMay, no surprise, in pit lane as Darren Reynolds has a bit of a drama. But, well, Crowley threw caution to the wind. Edwards decided to chomp at the bit, and they both got through rather cleanly on Damien G, who I think might have just had a little bit of the frighteners put his way, let's say.
Yeah, let's have a look on this board. Watch Paul LeMay on the right-hand side in that blue, red and white. He goes through, somebody doesn't get off the line, and then he's in the wall. Bang!
Oh, was that Crowley? No, it's Marcus Neal. Marcus Neal, I think. Let's just have a look. It's Crowley to the outside, and bang, yeah, oh, dearie me.
Straight across. Yeah, straight across there, unfortunately for him. Graham Matthews and Darren Reynolds has had their own moments as well. We'll keep on board with Edwards for a minute. I just want to see how he gets on, whether or not he's going to be able to get Crowley going up into the final chicane here. Is he going to be able to get him done in 13 and 14? He isn't. He doesn't look like he's even trying to. But Darren Reynolds had his own drama on lap 1 as well. This is coming down, I believe, down into the hairpin for the first time, is it? Yes. I've got a funny feeling he's going to go in too hot here. He is, and got past. And then Graham Matthews has had something happen as well. This is where we thought he had a slowdown. I've got a funny feeling he punches the wall on the right-hand side.
Oh, first fix him.
Yeah. Graham Matthews
way too hot. He's now in pit lane as well. We're back on board with Simon Edwards in the 5th place, number 52. He's got Crowley, Brown and Jarvis right ahead. Gonzaga's away by 4.8 seconds and climbing. I mean, at this early stage, if people were to say, well, Gonzaga's running away with it, yes, he is for the moment, but as this race progresses, you don't know who might have that extra 10th or 2 in the pocket per sector to try and close him down. Lead gap now 5 seconds as this quartet are battling tooth and nail. Edwards and Crowley going a little bit more aggressive on the curbs down to the hairpin. Crowley switching it to the outside of Seth Brown. Brown's going to be on the inside line. He's going to keep that advantage. This could open the door here for Simon Edwards. He gets a good run coming out of the turn 10 hairpin. And now Edwards has got a triple toe at the moment from Jarvis, Brown and Crowley. It's mainly Brown and Crowley that are battling away. Crowley pulls to the outside on the Casino Straight. Edwards following in the wheel tracks, waiting to see what happens here. Hard on the brakes into... Oh, and Edwards has just lost it! And he's got into it as well!
Burt's in with him!
Whoa.
Whoa, what was that? That just sounded like Kung Fu Panda.
Let's pick this apart. So Edwards flings it in, back end steps out, locks up the brakes, front end in. JB Bird, oh dear, he went in with way too much speed, bounced over both curbs, and smack bang wallop went the front end into the wall of champions. That's 3 drivers within the first 4 laps of this race that have succumbed to the wall of champions. Graham Matthew we've got. Talk us through this one, JP.
Yeah, I think he comes down into the hairpin. I think he's just going to run in too deep here. He is. He's just got it all a little bit wrong. But Bird and Edwards, well, I don't really know what to say. That's an unprecedented mistake from, I think he's like 9-time champion. If I've lost count how many we're on to here as well for Simon Edwards. I think he's 9. Jamie Burns just put in the Discord. Oh, nuts. That's all he's put in there.
Don't throw over the curb, Jamie. That's all I'm saying on that one.
Yeah.
4 left begins with N. Ends in S and has got UT in the middle. There we go. Right, on that note, Marcus Neal and Phil Glover going side by side. The Castrol liveried Mr. Positivity Racing to the outside. Is he going to get the draft? Oh, brilliant move there by the Padawan of Simon Edwards. And, well, great stuff to see Phil showcasing some of his skill set, showing a little bit more of ruthless aggression and being controlled when it needs to be, as Marcus Neal tries to hunt him back down and close that gap to try and go for P6. Meantime, Jarvis, Crowley and Brown are less than a second apart. There is the trio, and Jarvis is having to do everything he can to defend. Fastest lap of the race, no surprise, with a 5.9 second advantage. On lap 4, 1:31.665 by George Gonzaga for the insert name here racing team. Doing a stellar job. He has profited whilst everyone else has had a bit of a 2 at 8. But Jarvis and Crowley both up 6 spots apiece. Great work by the pair.
Yeah, they've done a great job. They've benefited from people dropping out. Damien G down 1, Glover 1, Neil 1, Reynolds 6, Matthews 10. So we know where they benefited from there as well. That inside curve is nasty, says Connor Pink. I believe you are right, mate. If they hit it, that's just going to lift these little cars up in the air, and once it catches air, it's in trouble. Crowley's going to go around here, try and go around the outside of Jarvis. I would not. He got the job done there, but it showed between Jarvis and Brown when Brown was going alongside in the last race, and Brown has got this steely aggression about him, shall we say, that literally he won't back out. If he's got to take a tighter line in that final chicane, Seth Brown will. He doesn't care. I don't think he probably cares what the consequences are. I don't think he's going to care what happens. He just knows that he wants to hold that place. Adam Jarvis, however, was a little bit more smarter. He backed away from Crowley, let Crowley take the racing line, and Jarvis come in behind. The thing is, you can see what that's done to Brown now. Brown went in far too hot in 13 to 14 and has lost about 2.6 seconds. So at the moment, his relief is the fact that Jarvis and Crowley are fighting. Further back's relief at the moment is Simon Edwards. He's trying to come through the field, and he's got Marcus Neal and Phil Glover for company.
Yeah, so Simon Edwards did not go into pit lane after that front end. You can see the damage on the lower splitter on that car, but that's not stopping him at all. Diving to the inside at the hairpin.
Simon, dude.
Simon, we know you know better than that, buddy. All I can say is, if this keeps on happening, despite the fact that Paul LeMay, who's got
to let him pass. Let him pass. He knows. Yeah. He ain't stupid. He knows he's going to run side by side with him. Marcus Neal, he gave you an opportunity to fight him, and you didn't. You backed off, and now you've let him go. But I don't know how much pace Edwards has got there, because Neal pulled him in quite quickly up that straight. So if he is losing pace on the straight, Marcus Neal will close him back again. Jarvis and Crowley, well, they're that close, Alex.
Yeah, and that's whisker between the pair of them as they go through into turns 6 and 7. Then it's the short run through this curved kink heading into turns 8 and 9 before we go into the hairpin. But it's just about how Jarvis can measure the situation and maybe put a good move on Crowley as they come out of turn 9. Nearly brushed the wall on the right hand side on the exit, going into the hairpin here at turn 10. So we are now about to very soon complete lap 7 out of 17. So after this one, 10 to go. George Gonzaga 6.6 seconds up the road. Simon Edwards, however, trying to get past on his pad one. Phil Glover.
He's done it again.
I think with that front end damage that he's sustained, that has caused an instability on that front end, because it may not just be the front end that's been damaged. It may be compromisation on the braking system as well, because if you've got no aerodynamic assist on the front of the car, that is going to make it light as a feather. It's going to make it difficult to brake at certain points, especially when you're going from 120 miles an hour in 5th gear down all the way to 40 miles an hour in 1st. So, yeah, Edwards is driving with a wounded car underneath him, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Glover did put some dirty air across the front of him. Oh, Phil. You're supposed to show your master you're learning. Oh, well, he has gone through now, but that's going to leave a great battle with Marcus Neal and Phil Glover. So, you know, I'm always down for a good old fight.
Yeah, we'll see how this one develops as we are now on lap 8 out of 17 here at Montreal. Big thank you to everyone watching. And for Connor and for Nicholas for putting their comments in so far on the YouTube chat. If you are watching along, give us put your name in and let us know who you are supporting tonight here at the Radical Race Series. Of course, there are still 3 more rounds of this season to go, but Marcus Neal trying to close in on Glover. They've got Damien G in front of them. Now, the big thing is that we've not really been given any sort of scores on the doors officially, so to speak, by the championship. But I would say that it's getting ever closer between Paul LeMay and Simon Edwards. Now, Paul LeMay, get this, he put the car in pit lane, a fast repair, and he's running mid 131s. And everyone else at the sharp end of the field, Gonzaga high 32.0, Crowley high 32.0, Jarvis mid 32.2. Seth Brown 32.5, G 32.5, Edwards 32.4, Glover 34.0, Neal 33.2, Reynolds 33.5. Paul LeMay is only 12 seconds behind, as we see a chance there by Marcus Neal. That was brave going through turn 3 at that chicane and taking that amount of curb.
Watch, it's not that. Watch what Glover does. He took the curb, he slowed right down, and Glover slowed to allow him to take the position. You know, I know there's risk reward. I get that, and I'm not stupid, but you know, from Phil's point of view, he knows that's one area that he needs to work on. He is just too nice. You know, the guy's about 6'4". I've met him in real life. He is as tall as a bean pole. It is absolutely ginormous. But he is literally as soft as a teddy bear when he comes on the racetrack. So I think from now on, we need to give Phil a little bit more steelies and get him to be a little bit more aggression there as well. But Simon Edwards has cleared Damien G. But you are right, in the Paul LeMay section, he is closing in on him. He's 16 seconds to Simon Edwards, and he's only got 7 laps to go. So he's, you know, I don't think that's quite as far as he's going to be able to get there, but he might get Reynolds. I don't think he's going to get Phil Glover after that, no matter what pace he's bringing at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. I mean, after that turn 1, lap 1 incident where he just got literally turned around and did a 540 coming off of the barriers, that was all she wrote. And that's the thing, you know, if there were closer packs of drivers racing together, then Paul LeMay might be at a bit of a disadvantage. He's just gone across the line again, a 131.7, and Darren Reynolds' last lap, well, get this, 143.3. So Darren Reynolds' pace is falling off a cliff quicker than a group of lemmings deciding to commit suicide at the moment. So LeMay is going to get 9th position, and he's just got it. So 13 seconds to Phil Glover. Phil Glover's last lap, 135.0. Paul LeMay's 131.7. That's a 3.5 second differential between the two. But yeah, like you say, with us now we're now going to go on to lap 11, so 7 laps to go. It would be nip and tuck if Paul can keep up this pace, and it depends on obviously what Phil decides to do. But because he's still half a second behind. Damien G keeping in tow with a damaged car of Simon Edwards in the battle for P5. But Luke Crowley, you know, most positions gained of the night, 7 places from 9th on the grid, and he's still got Adam Jarvis trying to break his back door down and say, right, I'm coming for you, watch out because I might throw a bit of a dummy and you won't expect it.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than having your back door broken in too as well, especially by Adam Jarvis, chasing down on Crowley there. Crowley's trying to stay in front. Jarvis is putting him under all sorts of pressure here. It's great to see Jarvis here racing. The question will be is, can Crowley hold his nerve? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, that is going to be the key point that we've got to concentrate on here. So battles are happening at the moment. Oh, there was a little bit of a love tap, wasn't there, between Crowley and Jarvis? And I think Jarvis was more of the instigator, but look, he's right with him. He's within that 0.2 of a second window as they go down Casino Straight, heading into turns 13 and 14. Jarvis has got the run. He pulls to the inside line. Jarvis is going to have the run going through in towards the Wall of Champions. Crowley turns in. He runs deep. Jarvis nearly catches the right rear, but it's Crowley who's let back through.
Yeah, Crowley there has let Jarvis back through as well. Vanita's in YouTube chat there. Adam Jarvis to win. I'll give you the second place, Vanita, but I don't think he's going to win that. He's a little bit far back as well. Connor Choice, great choice of words. I have no idea what you're talking about, Mr. Pink. Behave yourself here this evening on that one.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, there are some people with their heads in the gutter, aren't there?
Yeah, the commentator that said it, and that was about it, really. But there we go.
And I know it was me, and I know exactly what I said, which is why I said it deadpan. There you go.
Don't know what you mean. Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, talk about that off air. Right, okay, moving swiftly on. We still have got this great battle between Jarvis and Crowley, and it's gone in favour of the former. Phil Glover and Marcus Neal really closing up to Damien G at the moment in the battle for P7. Or P6, I should say. So it's 1.7 seconds covering those three. Paul LeMay is within 11.3 seconds of Phil Glover at the moment. But Gonzaga, well, literally as soon as he'd gotten a 3.5, 4 second advantage by the opening 2 laps, he was gone and away. And really not at all surprised that he's got nearly a 10-second advantage, as we'll have 5 laps to go as he crosses the strike to complete lap 12 out of 17. 5 to go here at Montreal, and Jarvis and Crowley still engaged in battle over the runner-up step on the rostrum.
Yeah, Marcus Neal still having a good old ding-dong down here with Damien G, Phil Glover in behind it as well. Neal now with G. How are they all going to get on? Nice smooth run from all of the cars there. No really had any dramas. The front, Jarvis and Crowley are backed out just a little bit away from each other at the moment. So we're going to keep an eye on this battle with Marcus Neal. This is battle for 6th, 7th and 8th here.
Yep, still fastest lap in the pocket for Paul LeMay, 1:31. Oh, he's just done another fastest lap of the race on lap 12. 1:31.433 for the man from Two Brothers Racing. We did see his brother Matthew LeMay, Michael LeMay, jump into the race, into the broadcast booth earlier. Then we just had some white noise in the background, and then he just disappeared. So I'm wondering, Paul, when are you going to say to Michael, "Oh, get your backside back in this league"? Be good to see him at some point.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be very interesting to see when Michael comes back, to be fair. Mate, it's just IRL, isn't it? Let's be real. Real life does get in the way.
Life, yeah.
Life in general. So we'll see what goes on. But at the moment, nice field at the moment. Nice field indeed. Jarvis and Crowley still fighting out. Seth Brown all on his Todd in the background there. I feel sorry for Seth. He's like, he's on his he's on a Tinder date that didn't turn up when he's just all on his own.
Billy No Mates, Mr. Seth Brown, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's got no friends.
God dear. Oh, it's always a giggle working with this man alongside me. Always a pleasure. We always go off on those slight little tangents at times, don't we?
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Goldsmith. We are full professional here on the JPB YouTube channel. Behave yourself, dear sir.
Yes, sir. Paul LeMay again. Still, it's like he's got a second wind all of a sudden. He's just been at a 1:31.5. Gap now down to Phil Glover, 8.3 seconds. So he's clawing about a couple of seconds a lap out of him. But we've got this and 3 more to go. It could be close. It could be close. It just depends on how much Phil can keep his pace up at the moment, so to speak.
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to have enough. I don't know if LeMay's got enough. 8 seconds, 4 laps. He's got to get 2 seconds a lap on him, and he's only got 1.7 in that last time around. So, I don't know. It's going to be very, very close here, what they're going to do, and how this one's going to work out for Paul LeMay, and whether or not he's going to make this work.
Yep, so 3 laps to go. We're on lap 15 out of 17 in your running order at the moment. George Gonzaga rounding out the lead of the race with a 9-second advantage ahead of these two here, covered by just under around about half a second. Jarvis versus Crowley is the battle that has been really waging on all the way through this race, and with any kind of battle there is also that lull where there's the sort of like the pendulum swing in terms of one driver getting ahead of the other, and then likewise Crowley getting a bit deeper in the brakes, going through into turns 6 and 7 that time. Gap now down to about 3.5 tenths. So yeah, it could be interesting how this battle pans out over the last couple of laps, because that's where it's going to become very, very crucial. Did you see how late Luke Crowley was on the brakes there into turn 8? He literally waited to stop it on a sixpence.
Yeah, and that's a skill that's very hard to learn from Crowley. But he's putting Jarvis under pressure. These guys are very, very equal in lap times. 31.62 best for Jarvis, 31.76 for Crowley, 3.4k for Jarvis, 3.6 for Crowley. So they're in and around the right type of area of each other to give each other a nice little ding-dong here. I wouldn't go side by side up through here because I don't know if any of these are going to be brave enough to back out. No, Crowley wasn't, but Jarvis copped it.
Yeah, slight misstep through the second half of the final chicane. So, and whilst that has been happening again, Gonzaga opened up the lead to about 9.7, 9.8 seconds as we've got this and one more to go. But yeah, that I think is that great move by Crowley. Just decided to go all guns blazing. It's like I've got nothing to lose but everything to gain. Could have stayed third, but didn't want to stay third and wanted the points for second position. And now he's gapped Jarvis by a second after that exchange. Damien G ahead of Marcus Neal. Phil Glover has dropped off the back of them. He's about 2.5 seconds behind, but Paul LeMay is only 4.5 seconds behind him. So it is going to be, I think, too much for Paul LeMay to close on in that gap. But if he gets it to within a couple of seconds by the checkered, that'll be very, very impressive indeed by the number 27.
Yeah, it will be. He's had a great recovery. You know, look at what happened to him at the beginning. You know, he's had a great recovery to get this car back to where it is. So fair play to him on this. I'm very impressed with Damien G at the moment. He's sitting in 6th. Holding his own there against the likes of Marcus Neal. Crowley and Jarvis, well, that gap didn't last long. He's back together with him.
Oh, right. And, well, Adam Jarvis decided not to brave it through the final chicane. Last lap underway. White flag is in the air. And Jarvis is within 0.2 of a second of Crowley as they go down the start-finish straight through the slight kink here into the left-hander at turn number 1. And that gap is about 2.5 of a second between the pair. Jarvis has got to really start putting the pressure on rather quickly as Gonzaga is already on his way through turn 5 into turn 6 and 7 through the the first chicane go Crowley and Jarvis. The gap is less than 1/10.5. Jarvis, what's he going to do here? Waits. He's going to wait for that opportunity to come to him. Maybe down the Casino Straight on the last lap might be his best opportunity as they're going to go through into turns 8 and 9 before the hairpin, and then it's one long run down the back straightaway at full throttle into the chicane. Crowley and Jarvis both very neat through the entrance and the exit as Gonzaga now comes out of the hairpin for the final time. Hard on the brakes will go Crowley and Jarvis. Gonzaga is now motoring his way towards victory, having started on the outside of the front row. Difficult first race for the Portuguese driver, but he's made it count here, got the lead over Graham Matthew and did not look back. Paul LeMay takes the win in race 1. George Gonzaga wins by a country mile in race 2, and it is going to be Luke Crowley that's going to better. Oh, and Adam Jarvis. Oh, he stumbles and clatters into the wall of champions. 4 drivers have done that tonight. Oh my giddy aunt. And look, Paul LeMay has got past Bill Glover and Marcus Neal. It's happened.
Oh, that's because they crashed. That is because they've crashed. They're going to run side by side again into the final corner. Who's going to be brave? Marcus Neal.
Phil locks up.
Yeah, Phil locks up. He's going to have to go. He's got to get that slowdown off as well, because he will have one. Get it off. That line is quite far down. Make sure that's gone. Yeah, that's basically it. So there we go. But Marcus Neal and Phil Glover did this to each other.
Well, okay, right. This is going to be in at the hairpin.
Too many beans. His back end's going round. Bang.
Oh, dear.
Glover's coming around the corner. Oh, no.
And then there is Paul LeMay. He goes, right, I'm having the pair of you.
Yeah, that's how he got caught there. unfortunately for both of them guys. But that was a great race too.
Yeah. So George Gonzaga picks up the win in this one ahead of Luke Crowley by, what was it, 8.6 seconds at the end of 17 laps of racing. Adam Jarvis rounds out the top three after a great battle with Crowley pretty much all the way through the race. Seth Brown pretty much all on his own, finishes fourth ahead of Simon Edwards, who made a great recovery from 11th on the grid after a difficult race one to finish P5. Damien G, Paul LeMay smacked the wall on lap one, came back to finish 7th after a bit of 2 and 8 between Marcus Neal that overcooked it through the hairpin, and Phil Glover had to put on the anchors to avoid. Darren Reynolds and Graham Matthew round out the finishers. Jamie Bird, well, going straight on into the Wall of Champions is going to end your race abruptly, as it did on lap 3.
Mm-hmm. Do not want to be doing that. Not at all.
No.
So, there we go for some
Not
of them
at all.
drivers. But there's a couple of them waiting for a chinwag review.
Well, let's bring in Mr. Luke Crowley first of all. Finished second in that race and also finished P9 in race 1. Well, Luke, welcome in. Oh, that
Hi
was
guys.
that was a pretty exciting race 2 for you, wasn't it? Having a good old battle with Mr. Jarvis as Mr. Gonzaga went flying away into the distance.
Yeah. It was a really good battle with Adam. Actually, I really enjoyed that. Lots of back and forth, lots of defending, lots of attacking. It was good. First 2 laps of that race were just like hell on earth. It was crazy.
It's like everyone trying to survive, and I mean, poor old Paul LeMay gets split in the middle, and then all of a sudden gets turned around and whack straight in.
Wow.
But he managed to set the fastest lap of the race, and also whilst Marcus and Phil were having their own 2 and 8 on the track, where Marcus overcooked it on the last lap, going through the hairpin by too much application on the beans pedal, which is the right foot, and went around, nearly caught out Phil. Phil had to put on the anchors. But yeah, I think the deciding move that got you that second place was when you decided to go for it up the inside of Adam, and Adam just had to back out of it. It was either I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain kind of situation, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had to get him back because he did something similar to me previously when he took me over, and I was like, oh, and I ended up having to go across the runoff and take the slowdown as well. So I was like, oh, I'm not get I'm going to leave him as little room as possible if I get a chance to get him back. So yeah.
But still a good result, nevertheless. A P2 to end the night. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good. 2 P2s. So good points all for me tonight. Some of the big hitters didn't have good nights as well. So yeah, it's a good one for me. I'll take it.
Yeah, good consistency. And then VIR next week. You looking forward to that one? That's going to be a bit of a test.
Yeah, I do like VAR. I'm not very good at it, but I do like it. So we'll see what happens.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for having a quick chat to us after the races, Luke. Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Shout out to George for the win in the feature. He was like, you just can't catch him once he's out in free air. So fair play. And shout out to Adam for the fighting, and shout out to Simon because he's had a bad one tonight. 2 pretty bad races for him. So yeah, he deserves a shout out there.
Don't sit there, Luke, acting like you aren't remotely smiling deep inside that Simon's had a rough night.
I can tell.
I am so smug. I am so smug right now. It's great.
Every right to be as well. Every right to be as well.
You can just hear it there on the back of the Crowley twang. You know what I mean? When he went, oh yeah, better give a shout out to Simon with a big old smile on his face. We know, son. We know. Don't you worry.
Hey. Lot. If he had another couple of nights like that a season, the league would be a lot closer, wouldn't it? It'd be better for everybody. Yeah.
Fair one, mate. I'll give you that. But we'll catch up soon, bud.
All right, nice one. Cheers, guys.
Take care.
Cheers, Luke.
Oh, hint of smugness there from Crowley as well.
You know what? He's got every right. He's got every right to have a little bit of smugness there, and I'm sure Simon will laugh about that as well. You know what? Let's bring in Adam Jarvis as well, because he had a pretty good run tonight as well. Let's be honest. 2 third-place finishes, I believe, for the Spanglish Inquisition, Mr. Jarvis. Well done tonight. Bit of a good old battle between yourself and Luke in race 2.
Oh yeah, it was great fun. I think our pace was relatively similar. Maybe he was a little bit faster, but managed to just stay on the back of him and struggle to get the exit out of the corner before the long straight for the most part. I only really had one real chance to get past him, and then he was back past me not that long after. But yeah, really good race. It was really good fun.
He definitely put the wind up your sails going into that final chicane, didn't he, to try and edge you out for that second position, did Luke, didn't he?
A little bit, yeah, but it was all fair racing. And I think I did something similar to him when I overtook him as well. And yeah, I did lose it on that last chicane, and on the last lap and binned it into a wall, but managed to roll the car across the line. So yeah, happy.
Good stuff. James, you got any questions for Adam?
Adam, is this your first podium this season?
Yeah, second race, first podium.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Well done to you, dear sir. What is the thing for you this season, mate? Is this just kind of like a learning in and around everybody and then sort of coming back next season and thinking, right, I'm going to go full berries? Or what's the plan for this season for you?
Yeah, I guess learn how everyone's driving, see who makes moves where, etc. But yeah, I've been racing like a lot of GT3 IMSA, so it's a big change of pace. Second time ever racing the Radical, so hopefully I'll be fighting with Paul and May sometime soon, hopefully. Maybe.
Oh, Adam,
Wood.
I was going to say, dude, that's a throw it down, isn't it? Paul's been at this for years.
Yeah, he's fast. I'm never going to be there. But you can dream.
Hey, mate, what's life without dreams, buddy? What's life without dreams?
Mic drop from Adam Jarvis, just live on air.
Yeah.
On that note, Adam, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go? But well done tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the fight with Luke in the feature and the fight with Seth in the sprint was really good fun.
Awesome. Right, brilliant. Thank you very much, Adam.
Guys.
We'll see you next week for VIR.
See ya.
Okay, so next up, let's go to our feature race winner, George Gonzaga, because he definitely did a number on everybody else in that one on race 2, but didn't have the best start in race 1, let's be completely honest. Let's see if we can bring George in.
There you go.
George,
Hello.
well, a comfortable, commanding victory in race 2, but it all went a bit Pete Tong in race 1. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, it was just an unfortunate incident. Stuff happens. I tried to stay as much as possible on the close to the grass. But yeah, it was tough. We were battling for the position. And yeah, I need to look better at the incident, but I did the best I could. But then all of a sudden, all I see is Simon ahead of me, and then was my car was completely damaged. I on the straight, the max speed was 200, so I had to pit. There was no way I could carry on with 6 laps to go. And then when I got out of the pits, I saw Graham ahead in P10. It was like, okay, I still have a chance. So yeah, I did my best to try to pass him. Eventually, he spun ahead, so I was lucky on that. And then yeah, it was like, okay, I'm just gonna stay here. And yeah, I knew I had the pace. If I would be on the front on the second race, I knew I could stand a chance. It was still, yeah, it was on the second race, it was still tight on turn 1. I was trying to give as much space as possible to Graham. We still had a bit of contact. I was afraid I had damage, but luckily I wasn't. So then it was just managing the pace, yeah.
Yeah, good to see you back to winning ways here on Radical Race Series as well. We know that you've been busy with other things, including life, but yeah, nice to have that nice little bit of motivation going into next week at VIR, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I love VIR, so I look forward to Virginia a lot. But yeah, it was nice. It's a bit of a celebration as well because this track was the first track I raced in RRS as well. So it was nice to come back, and on the first time I was here, I spun. I still have like a very old recording of James. Like, oh god. So
No.
it was fun. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
You're gonna have to send it to me, George, if you
And but yeah, so yeah, it was nice to have a win here. Yeah, and it was about time. Like I've had a bit of bad luck in the past races, and Phillip Island was the pinnacle, and put my head down and do my best to try to get the win, and I'm glad it happened today.
Brilliant stuff. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, George, before we let you go?
To you guys, as always, doing a great job every week. To the community, I know we're having a bit of a rough patch, but it's really nice to see new faces, new drivers, good racecraft. Most important, I think that's what communities are built. So it's really nice to see like people who are respectful and there's a bit of sense of camaraderie. So it's really nice to see the numbers going up again. And I have to give a shout out to my wife because she's like, "Oh, you're going on the interview. Have you said anything to me?" So, Magda, this is for you. A big kiss and to celebrate. And thank you for allowing me to do this.
You sound so reluctant thanking the wife then. I better thank the wife as well. Yeah, no, this is for you. Yeah, big kisses. Bye.
No, sorry. It's been very tough. Real life has been a bit chaotic recently. So today I was knackered. So I have no idea how I managed to win. But yeah, it was good. And a shout out to you guys as always. Bye.
Man, take care. I'll catch up with you soon, George.
Cool. Cheers, bye.
Cheers, mate. Right.
Yeah, big thank. You're right. Okay. Let's bring in Paul LeMay. Mr. LeMay, good evening.
Hello, Alex. How you doing?
Not too bad. Two
What
for
am I,
two.
Scotch mist?
Hello, JP.
Hello, mate. Jesus. That's doesn't like come in and just completely blank me like I'm not even here.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was shocked because normally you greet me and it's not normally Alex, you see.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to leave you in the trusty hands of Alex now. I don't want to talk to you anyway, Paul. So see you later.
Sorry,
Oh,
mate.
oh dear.
no,
Romance
put-
stiff
don't-
in the booth.
yeah.
Romance stiff in the booth.
No, that's
Right,
it. Dummies
okay.
out. I'm off.
Oh,
Okay. Firstly, another sprint race in the bag from what was a brilliant pole position. You beat Simon to that
you,
pole
mate.
by over 3/10. Like literally, you couldn't have done anything wrong in qualifying. You then went out and comfortably won race one, but then race two, contact between yourself and I think it was Marcus
Yeah,
going
it was
into
my fault.
turn one. What happened from your perspective?
Yeah, I went with the mindset of not going too mad, and I saw a bit of a gap, and I thought I had enough speed to carry me through, and I didn't. I'm on a single monitor, so it's poor judgment by myself. I should have been a bit calmer. So apologies to Marcus. So that really curtailed my my race, really.
But you still came back with fastest lap of the race,
All good.
and also the bit of argy-bargy that was happening between Marcus and Phil when Marcus went a bit too heavy on the throttle. He went to
Yeah.
pull across Phil, and then Phil had to pull on the anchors, and then we saw you come flying past. We
Yeah.
thought it was going to be difficult for you to get even P8, but you were, I think at one point you were taking the best part of over 3 seconds out of Phil on lap time because you were consistently running in the mid to low 131s as soon as you got that car repaired, and you were literally flying, mate.
I was flat out. I really was. I to be honest, I can't believe I'm here racing tonight. About this time last night, I had a trapped nerve in my neck, and I had a completely numb arm, hand, shoulder. My face was numb on the left-hand side, and my tongue couldn't speak.
Mhm.
I've got the same problem. I think James did an interview with I can't remember the lady's name, but she
Stacey
was in the next.
Scotts.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I've got the same problem as Stacey. So I didn't think I'd be racing tonight, but thankfully it all sorted itself out. So I'm pleased I managed to race.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's been ebbing and flowing between you and Simon for top threes and race wins. I mean, we've still got a couple of really exciting tracks to go to. We've got VIR, we've got Mount Panorama, and then we got Interlagos to round off season 2. It's going to be a tough one, isn't it?
It is, and Simon's just he's just so good, so consistent. I'm not quite as consistent as Simon, but this is the bogey track for me. I absolutely hate the car around here, and the next 3 tracks I'm really looking forward to because I don't normally go too bad around there.
Brilliant.
So fingers crossed we'll have a decent result.
Fingers crossed indeed. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go, Paul?
It's got to be an apology to Marcus and a shout out to George for a great win.
Fantastic.
He actually made it to the checker this time, so that's great.
In for a penny, in for a pound there. Paul LeMay, thanks for joining us, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Okay, guys. Catch you later. Bye bye.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm going to leave the last interview to you because we got Mr. Positivity, Phil Glover, in the booth. Over to you, James.
Phil, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. You?
Good. Yeah, I'm very well, mate. Did you enjoy yourself out there?
I did for certainly the first race. Yeah, because I was pretty much as usual. I was quite a long way off pace actually for this race, but yeah, everything seemed to align quite well in the first race. Second race, I was thinking I can possibly hang on to what did I finish? 9th, 8th, 7th. And then I think it was Marcus Neal spun in front of me.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and of course that slowed us right down, and you don't need to give Paul much of a chance to pick up the pace. I think if that hadn't have happened, I'd have held on to that position. But hey ho, it was yeah, it was a good day really.
It was good. How's the training going?
The training, we didn't do a lot this week just gone, but yeah, it's still, I'm still taking it in. So,
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Are we going to work on the aggressive Phil Glover racecraft angry man?
Because the second race, I lost about 4 places in a row, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm always a bit. I can see them approaching because I'm in VR. I can see them approaching it, and I think if I move across, it's very likely we're going to have a bit of a coming together. So I always try to think about the longer term strategy, but maybe I need to work on that a bit more. I think.
Yeah,
To lose 4 places in a couple of corners isn't great.
No, you need to be a little bit more aggressive, mate. And I did say that during the broadcast. So if you watch it back, don't mind me. I'm just giving my normal opinion.
I'm used to you saying that.
So there you go, Phil. Pleasure as always, dear sir. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Well, again, everybody in the league, and it's nice. What did we have? 12 on the grid.
Yeah, it was
so
good.
The numbers are slowly picking up, aren't they? Which is great news, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Phil, been a pleasure as always, dear sir. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep, we will. And we're at VIR, I think.
We are. And you remembered.
How about that?
You did research, Phil. I'm well happy. Catch you later, mate.
On that bombshell, I'll see you next week.
See you later. Oh, Phil, he didn't seem his normal bubbly self. But I think the thing is as well, he can see areas where he wants to improve and he's not improving, which is bothering him. So I think Phil's just got to take it a little bit better step by step. But great racing as always, great 2 races. And as I say, Phil actually knew we were going to VIR. So well done to Phil.
Well done, that man. And yep, VIR is going to be the full course. So it's going to be a true test for all our drivers. And it is going to be an absolute spectacular. And we hope you all join us next week. Plenty of action still to come on JP Broadcasting, because we've got, in just a handful of hours, League 0 Super Formula Round 9 at Imola. The NARS Virtual Modern Sports Car Championship heads to Detroit for 1.5 hours of racing. TSRC returns with the GTE Masters at the Nürburgring. Ahead of the Virtual World Sports Car Championship, 100 minutes of Qatar. Novice Racer League of Round 4 goes to Okayama. OGRL Coffee Cup Season 3 Round 4 from Spa. And IGP Fun will be on your screens this coming Sunday night. You've been joining myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and James Parfitt. This has been a JP Broadcast Network production. And as always, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, well, you better go flat out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Jungle.